We are getting into data structures, and the first data structure that we try is hash table. Now, hash table exists in most of the languages. In JavaScript, is basically an object like you say name something. So this is an example of hash table. It's a key value pair. Another example of hash table is map. So this is another example of key value pair. The difference between hash and object in JavaScript is object you cannot loop through the key value pairs, while hash table you can loop through them. And there are different methods for object and hash table, how to retrieve data, how to select, how to remove, things like that. In Python, I think you have dictionary. In PHP, recursive array, things like that. But let's say we are responsible to create a hash table, a custom hash table. How do we recreate it? Well, the first thing and the most important step is to create a hashed index. Basically, if we revert this, when we say object.name, like console.log object.name, we see something objects. Okay, let's just remove this for now. Probably we have an error. Okay, but here's the thing, this name behind the scenes is being hashed into an index, into something like 1 2 3 4 5, like into a specific unique key or index, but we don't see it because the programming language JavaScript does it on its own and we don't need to do it. However, if we create our own hash table, we definitely need to create custom hash keys. That custom hash key is better be a private method, just like in the object method or map method. You don't see like a hash key anywhere. And to do that, we have to use class in JavaScript. Now, if you don't know class, there are many resources available about class. Basically, we don't need this assigned value. We usually start with class, and capital letter is the convention. Almost all classes should have a constructor. This constructor takes arguments, and you can say like this dot limit equals to limit. So basically what this does is say const new hash equals to new hash table. Now we can set the limit to something 15, let's say, and if we console.log new hash, maybe we see something, maybe we don't. Yeah, we see a hash table with a limit of 15. The good thing is we can also set default values. So basically now the user can set a value, but if not, we set the default value. Let's do another thing, which is storage. Now, for this hash table, for creating the keys, we need a limit, which is the size of the hash table as well. For the way the data is stored, we need a storage, which is an array for now. And we don't want the user to be able to change this because basically it will not be consistent. So we have a constructor now. What else do we do? The first thing we do is create the hash method. To create the hash method, we use underscore. And what's underscore? Actually, let me explain something. Doing something like this in classes means it's a method, it's a function. It's a method specific to this class. And if we do like console.log this.storage, this is again, this subject, the subject of this is a complex one, and you can refer to other classes. But this basically now is this hash table, and this dot storage is this. So if we print this, if we do new hash dot print, just to avoid errors, let's do max. Let's see what we have. We have an empty array for now. But if we do like 1, 2, 3, we have 1, 2, 3. So we already created the print method. Now we create something to hash the keys. Well, let hash equals to 0. Then let I equals to 0. We create a loop, I is smaller than key.length, basically whatever key we are provided. I increment I. Hash plus equals to key char code at position of I. Now let's console.log hash and let's call under dash hash and give it a key value pair John 25 and see what happens. If we do this, we see 74, 185, 289. Basically, it takes John, the key, and loops through John, J-O-H-N. Char code is a method, basically the numeric version of capital J, small o, small h, small n, and accumulates them. Then why do we need that? Well, now we have a number. So what we do to create a unique index, we do return hash divisible by max. When we say return hash divisible by max, we say whatever the accumulation of this, make it divisible by max. Now max is 25 because the key is John. This is 25. If we do that, we see 24. But if we make this max, for example, 14, then we see 7. So we have a good hash method. We don't need much here. Let's create set. Set also key is key value pair. Now for set, the first thing we do, as for many other methods, is to hash the key. Now const index equals this dot hash key and this dot limit. Basically, we say the index of this, whatever we are creating, the hash is the key that's provided, basically John, and this dot limit is the max, basically whatever we provided in the limit, and if we didn't provide anything, it is 14. So let's make this empty again. And now check if not there. Basically, if the key value pair are not in the array, we check if this dot storage in the position of index, that we've created, if that's not there, which means if it's equal to undefined, what we do, we create this dot storage dot index is equal to key value. Else, first we can update it. How do we update it? Well, we create a value, let inserted be false, then we loop for let I equals 0. I is smaller than this dot storage at the position of index, at the position of I, at the position of index, sorry, then dot length I++. If this dot storage at the position of index, at the position of I, at the position of 0, basically if the key, so at first if we didn't have it, we just set it. At the second, we loop through the storage and we find this index, basically this key value pair. And if this key value pair at the position of I, at the position of 0, basically this, was equal to the key provided, so key, what we do is we just update it. We say this dot storage at the position of index, at the position of I, at the position of 1, basically the value, the key is equal to key, which is position of 0. Now we are interested here. we just set this second position as the value provided. Okay, now what we do if the key wasn't there and it isn't equal to undefined. Basically what we do is if inserted equals to false, so basically inserted is equal to false means it's not equal to undefined, but the key is not there as well. So we just say this dot storage at the position of index dot push key value. We just give it key value pair. Now let's test set and see if we have anything. We give it John and we don't need Max. Now let's say teacher. So the key value pair is John teacher. And if we do it, it's undefined for now. New hash dot set John teacher. Okay. And we don't need this console.log. What we need is we need to new hash dot print, basically use our print method. We see we have 9 arrays, but only one of them is populated with John and teacher, 9 empty. So what it does is basically when we say the limit is 14, it creates 14 pairs. They're undefined up until because John is in the position of 9, up until 9 are undefined, and it doesn't calculate after 9. This is a bit more complex. However, just know it's not that important for now. For now, what we do is we define another method called get, which is to get something based on the key. Again, we do const index equals to this dot hash key this dot limit. Basically, you find the index. If this dot storage in the position of index was equal to undefined, basically if we didn't have anything in that index, we say return undefined. Basically, we don't have anything. However, else, so if we have something in the position of index, we say for let I equals to 0, I is smaller than storage at the position of index, dot length I plus plus. Now if this dot storage dot index in the position of I, in the position basically of 0, the key, return this dot storage in the position of index in the position of 1. Basically, if we didn't have that index, just say we don't have it. If we have it, we go through the index, and when the key is equal to the key provided, we return the value. Now let's go to another, which is remove, which takes a key, and we do index, which basically means dot hash key this dot limit. We've done this a couple more times, so this should be easy. If this dot storage in the position of index exists, let's check if there is only one. If there is one with that index, one array. So what we do, we say if this dot storage in the position of index dot length equals to 1. So basically we are given a key, we search for key, and if there is only one array in that position, and we need the second condition, and this dot storage in the position of index, the first one and the first position, basically the key, is equal to key, then what we do, we delete this dot storage at that index position. Else, if we had more than one, what we do, we loop through them for let I equals to 0, I is smaller than this dot storage in the position of index dot length I plus plus. If this dot storage at the position of index at the position of I at the position of 0 is equal to key, delete this dot storage at the position of index at the position of I. Now we have remove as well something else called has, so to check if we have that key. Basically we create the index, this dot hash key, this dot limit, so we have this. If this dot storage in the position of index, if we have that, we go through them, we say let I equals to 0, I smaller than this dot storage, the position of index dot length, I plus plus. If this dot storage in the position of index, in the position of I, the first position, basically the key is equal to key, we say return true. Basically, if we have then the key is equal to key, we say return as true. Last method is clear, which is the easiest. We say just this dot storage equals to mtr. So let's test some methods. Jake, and he's an engineer. If we do, for example, this, we say now we have two. We have Jake, which is in the number 2 and an engineer, number 4 and an engineer, number 9 we have John. If we remove Jake, new hash dot remove by Jake, then we should have 1. Now we have only number 9, which is John. If we clear everything, new hash dot clear, basically we should have an empty array. So now we can print, we can remove, we can check, we can get. Actually we didn't check. Let's do this, and new, let's console.log new hash dot has Jake. Let's see if we have true. Yes. And if we give it a value that's not there, it should say undefined. Yes. So basically what we did, we create a custom hash table using JavaScript. A hash table is key value pair. We did these steps. We created an index through a private hash method, and a private hash method is basically a method with underscore that takes key and max. It goes through every letter, for example, of the key. For example, John, it takes the character code, it accumulates them, and it makes them divisible by max. Then the limit is whatever limit we provide, the max whatever limit we provide. So we have a hash method. Then we set values, which is a key value pair. We first hash the key, which is basically this dot underscore hash key and this dot limit. Now, if the value, if the index is undefined, basically we say give it John teacher. If there is no John teacher, what we do is we say this dot storage in the position of index is equal to key value pair. Else, if the key existed, we find the key and set the value. If it didn't, then we just set the key value pair. Now, the get method, we basically hash the key, and if it was undefined, we just return undefined. Otherwise, we loop through the whatever there is in the position of index, and whenever the key is equal to, like this index in the position of I in the first position, we return the value. Remove is kind of the same. We find the index, and if there is something to remove, first we check if there is one. If there is one in that position and the key is equal to key, then we delete. Else we go through them through loop. Whenever we find one with that index, we delete. Then we check has. We find the index. If storage in the position of index is there, we return true. For clear, we just set to an empty array, and that's it. Thank you. Well, underscore